Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. I'm Pinky Webb. Today on the program, the NCR Plus bubble shifts to a stricter version of general community quarantine. The government files another diplomatic protest amid the continuing Chinese presence in the West Philippine Sea. Senator and Liberal Party President Francis Kiko Pangilinan joins us live. Also, the Miss Universe fever is on. Will Rabia Mateo take home the crown? We'll speak to Miss Universe Philippines 2013 Ariela Ara Arida later on in the program. Metro Manila and 4 nearby provinces will shift to a stricter form of general community quarantine starting May 15. That's after President Rodrigo Duterte approved the recommendation of the Interagency Task Force for COVID-19. The easing of community quarantine comes after the country detects 2 cases of the highly contagious Indian COVID-19 variant. In his talk to the nation last night, Mr. Duterte again reminded local governments not to violate quarantine rules. Here's the president in his own words.
It could only be the barangay captains. I will hold you responsible for any violation sa itong mga batas na hindi natutupad. Batas to. It is really a law. So you have to enforce it, because if you want this country to recover from the onslaught of COVID-19, you have to be mindful of the what is going on and how to prevent it.
And let's go straight to the source of the story. We have Senator Francis Kiko Pangilinan. Senator Pangilinan, welcome to the source and maraming salamat po sa inyong oras. I just want to start already, Senator, your reaction now that NCR Plus is shifting to GCQ with, ang tawag naman po nila is heightened restrictions. We all know that there are 2 cases of the Indian variant already here in the country. Do you think that was a good move?
Yes. Sorry about that. Well, you know, this shift to GCQ, ECQ, MECQ is all dependent on, are we contact tracing enough? Are we testing enough? And are we isolating enough? Because if we're not, then it's just going to be a endless cycle of close, open, open, close. And of course, the vaccine rollout. We have to speed up the vaccine rollout. In other countries like Israel and the US, they've seen a significant drop in severe cases, and precisely the healthcare system has been able to, the impact on the healthcare system has been lessened in terms of capacity, in terms of up to 90% drop, for example, in ICU cases because of the vaccine rollout in some of these countries. So these are key. Whether you're ECQ, MECQ, it's a temporary thing. You can prevent the spread up to a certain degree, but if you're not testing enough, if you're not tracing enough, and if you're not vaccinating enough, it's just going to be a parang Ferris wheel. Ikot ka ng ikot, pero wala ka namang pinupuntahan.
But do you think we are testing enough? Do you think we are tracing enough? Dun muna po tayo before we go to the vaccination. At least mula nung...
Definitely not. You know, my mother almost got exposed to a COVID-positive caregiver. That caregiver was isolated. Wala namang dumating na magte-test. Wala namang nag-contact trace sa LGU. My photographer who died of COVID, his father died of COVID also the week before. This was a month ago. Ang contact tracing dun lang sa bahay. Pero yung ibang wala. And yung testing, wala din. Yung nanay na inilipat sa ibang bahay dahil nga kinakailangan mag-isolate, hindi rin tinest. So, you know, these numbers that we are reading, they're all good on paper. Yes, there are tests, but there is no coordination, or it is more Precisely, hindi coordinated at hindi natin nakikita sa baba.
And if that is so, what should be done moving forward? Dahil nga po, as I mentioned a while ago, yung mas nakahawang Indian variant is already here. There are at least, as we speak, 2 cases. And that could potentially spread, or there could potentially actually really be more cases of the Indian variant.
Yes, the Senate has already come up with its recommendations. Revamp the IATF, bring in the experts and those who are competent. That's the solution. And sana, wag na tayong in denial. Hindi naman excellent yung approach, hindi naman excellent yung naging ano natin kung ikukumpara sa ibang bansa. So we're also proposing solutions. The solution is, and this has been said by senators both in the opposition and in the administration, minority and majority, bring in the experts, make it health-centric rather than militaristic, and revamp the IATF to bring in public health experts, yung mga talagang may kapasidad at may kakayahan.
But the thing is, Senator, the thing is, I know, of course, that's been the recommendation. But hindi naman po yan nangyari or hindi po yan sinusunod. Kasi really, when you talk to them, while there are a lot of military men in the IATF, they always say that they consult a number of medical experts. What do you say to that? Kung ang nakaharap man sa IATF, maraming mga ex-military men, patuloy naman daw ang kanilang consultation with the medical experts.
Well, we go by results, and you raised it earlier. What should we do? And that's precisely what we recommended, and it hasn't been done. So that doesn't mean just because it hasn't been done, then therefore we shouldn't push for it until it's still valid and sound. They have to revamp the IATF. Don't get me wrong, Charlie Galvez, I think, is not incompetent. In fact, he's very competent. Except that I said this already before. If you're surrounded with turkeys, you can't soar like an eagle. If in any revamp, I'd like Charlie Galvez to still be there, but he needs more support from those who are really in the know.
Sino po yung mga turkey?
Hindi ko na lang sasabihin dahil alam naman nating lahat.
Okay, let's talk about vaccination. That's the third point you raised, the vaccination pace. We have, last I saw, Senator, 2 million, pero during the talk of the president last night, it's a little over 2 million who received their first dose, and about 600,000 who've actually received their second dose. Do you think things or the situation is looking up?
Obviously, it's not enough. Otherwise, hindi naman magrereklamo halimbawa si Mayor Isko. Just a couple of days ago, sabi niya, feeling niya may naka-embargo sa mga storage itong vaccines. No? So we have to speed it up. The private sector is also wanting to step up, asking that they be allowed to go ahead with their own vaccinations. And we saw this from day one. As early as January, we were already saying unless the private sector takes a bigger role as well as the LGUs, we're never going to be able to roll it out effectively. And so this is a continuing challenge for the IATF to enable LGUs. Give up the power, enable others. Don't keep it to yourselves. Diba? You need to reach 70 million, you need an army on the ground. You cannot just rely on the DOH. And that army on the ground will be the private sector as well as the LGUs.
Let me tell you though, Senator, last night, Secretary Galvez was, two things that I remember he said, na kung dati the vaccines came in trickles, now it's coming in millions, 1 point. The second point he said is that we can still look forward to a happy Christmas. My question is, ito hubang sinasabing target ng 60 to 70 million vaccinated by December, do you think that's really going to happen?
Well, it all depends on how we address the matter on a day-to-day basis. So, ang sa akin, I hope he is right. I hope he succeeds. I hope they will be able to achieve what they plan out to do. And therefore, But looking at it from the ground, they need to do more. I'm not saying
Okay.
they won't be able to do it, but I'm saying they need to do more now to achieve their targets.
And another plan, of course, is rather the Nayong Filipino Mega Vaccination Center. Just very quickly, are you in favor of this?
Well, there are some concerns, and I think they should be able to address some of the issues that are being raised. Hindi naman ito all or nothing. So I hope that they find a middle ground. We see the necessity for this center so that we are able to precisely speed up the vaccination rollout. But at the same time, let's figure out how we can address yung ilang mga issues na nire-raise ng mga oppositors. In the end, like I said, what we need to do is to unite. And let's figure out where that middle ground is, if there is a win-win solution to this issue, and then see how we can move forward.
We need to talk about the West Philippine Sea and, of course, the president placing the country under a state of calamity over the African swine fever outbreak. Senator Kiko Pangilinan, we need to take a very short break. The Source will be right back.
Set out in search of new stories with the 2021 Toyota Innova. This premium MPV sports a refreshed design and it's equipped with safety features, which add to the Innova's familiar touch of luxury, convenience, and power. So whether it's a road trip or a grocery trip, the Innova is a space you can share with your loved ones.
When it comes to my family, I make sure to give them only the best. Meals that are healthy, safe, and flavorful. Enjoy home-style goodness with Magnolia ready-to-cook chicken templados. Pre-marinated, it is made from fresh chicken. It is so easy to prepare and super delicious. Also high in protein, which helps boost our immune system. Get your Magnolia ready-to-cook chicken templados from Magnolia chicken stations in chicken tocino flavor and the chicken teriyaki.
You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. Our guest today, Senator Kiko Pangilinan. Senator, May 9, the National Task Force on the West Philippine Sea reported 287 Chinese maritime militias around Kalayaan and other areas in and out, I believe, of the West Philippine Sea. The DFA has continued to protest this, but China seems to remain unfazed. How must we proceed? Because this is the same situation, a month ago, about 300 also, hindi po natin alam kung umikot lang sila, bumalik sila. We don't really know what happened then and what is happening now.
Well, I maintain the position I took then. If they are swamping our seas, then we should bury them with diplomatic protests. And make our position clear that this is unacceptable. There has to be an unequivocal, categorical rejection of what the Chinese are doing in our exclusive economic zone. Ang malungkot dito, iba yung sinasabi ng spokesperson, iba yung sinasabi ng Secretary of National Defense, iba rin ang sinasabi ng Pangulo, iba rin ang sinasabi ng DFA. So China is, sabi nga, ika nga, is enjoying, quote unquote, the disputes and the debates internal. Sabi ko nga lahat yan, yung debate, yung iba-iba sinasabi, habang yung China, ika nga, kumakain ng popcorn, pinanonood tayo at tuwan-tuwa.
Ano ho yung magiging value of that Senate resolution that was authored, I believe, by Senate Minority Leader Franklin Trilon doon po sa sense of the Senate or the resolution of the Senate condemning the illegal activities of China in the West Philippine Sea? I believe that 11 last I saw, senators signed this resolution.
Yes. Well, my understanding is that it has yet to be referred. When we resume sessions on Monday, then that resolution will be referred, most likely to the Committee on Foreign Relations as well as the Committee on National Defense. It should be heard. and we should ventilate the issue and get resource persons to weigh in so that we can discuss this in the Senate and come up with our recommendations.
What would be the value of that, though? Again, I guess in the end is that the Senate will have recommendations, will submit its recommendations.
Yes.
Yun po yung ending nun.
Well, the value is that we can discuss rationally and objectively, precisely, our interests, our sovereignty in such a hearing. It's like saying, what was the value of the Committee of the Whole hearing and the Committee on Agriculture hearing on the issue of the importation of frozen pork? We were able to thresh out a lot of issues and finally come up with a sound recommendation, which eventually was adopted by the Department of Finance, and a compromise was met. So these hearings have a great bearing if done right, and if the resource persons are upfront in terms of shaping policy.
And let's talk about that.
Kung hindi nag-hearing ng Committee of the Whole dun sa African swine fever, at kung hindi hindi mangyayari yung state of the calamity declaration, which was what the Senate, we filed that resolution and the Senate adopted it, and we're thankful na finally it has become national policy. Nagkaroon na ng state of calamity declaration. So that's the value of the Senate weighing in, of Congress weighing in on these issues.
And I wanted to get your thoughts on this because, as you mentioned, the Senate had been looking at this. Because one point that was raised was that there were different data coming from, I believe, the DA and the Bureau of Customs. And I remember you having said that because of the different data, that this could be prima facie evidence on possible smuggling. Kasi meron hong data na 225 versus 256. That's a difference of about 31 between the two. And that's a lot of money.
31,000 metric tons or 31 million kilos of pork missing. And unfortunately, they were not able to reconcile their data. The DA stood by their data, the 352 million entered actual kilos, and the customs commissioner said our data says only 325 million entered. So precisely, you can see doon pa lamang 31 million, in other words, pumasok, hindi dumaan sa customs, edi smuggled yun.
Could there be another explanation to that, Senator? What other explanation do you think could have happened or could make you understand why there's a different data coming from them?
Well, unfortunately, they were not able to explain it. They stood by their data. The DA asserts that 352 million kilos of pork entered the country in 2020. And the BOC asserts that they only recorded 325 million kilos.
Yeah.
So that's a difference of 31 million kilos. And our MAV quota limit is 54 million kilos for 2020, which means it's more than half our
of the MAV.
That's missing. And that's why in the Committee of the Whole report, this should be one of the highlights in terms of what the recommendation will be.
I see. Okay. Just very quickly,
mind you, 31 million kilos, di ba, of imported frozen meat pumasok. At ang sabi nila, $3 per kilo. So that's $93 million.
Yeah.
That's, di ba? That's billions, 4-5 billion. Na nasaan? Walang taripa.
Senator, just quickly, no, because of the state of calamity, ano po, how can, just very simply, so we understand the situation, help our local hog raisers?
Yes, because of the state of calamity declaration, the national government now has legal basis to release the national calamity relief funds. There is a total of 20 billion.
Okay.
But they say 5 billion is for Marawi, so you have 15 billion. And just yesterday, the DA reported that they need another 6 billion for 2021 to address the African. Kulang ng 6. So saan nila kukunin yun? Kukunin nila sa national yung disaster fund. And this is necessary. We did this in 1995 when there was a foot and mouth disease. An EO was issued declaring a state of calamity. Additional funds were provided by the national government, and we were able to address the foot and mouth disease. The same happened. A state of calamity was declared in Region 4A, Calbar Zone. 500 million was released to address precisely the infestation and to ensure that there is a pest management grassroots program in place. We were able to provide funding, additional cash for work for the farmers. That's what we're supposed to do now. Get additional funds, indemnify our magbababoy na at 10,000 per head, release this immediately so that they will go back to raising. Magkakaroon sila ng lakas ng loob at suporta para ma-repopulate yung ating hog population.
Very last issue, your reaction on Senator Trillanes announcing his intention to run for president.
Well, first, of course, Vice President Lenny has clarified that it was, how do you call it, inaccurate, the claim that she was running for governor. So that's clarified. Hindi natin alam saan nakuha ni Senator Sani yung info na yun, but obviously it's not. It was inaccurate information because this has been denied by the Vice President that she's running for governor. She has not made a decision. Number two, I think Senator Trillanes clarified that he is going to pursue it if Vice President Lenny decides not to. So sa akin, let's wait and see. Wala pa naman yung desisyon, kaya abangan.
Senator Kiko Pangilinan, sir, as usual, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras.
Maraming salamat. Tsaka please stay safe. Sabi ng mga eksperto, kung dati dapat mag-ingat dahil sa dami ng mga variant ngayon, dapat doble ingat. We have to be even more careful today. So please stay safe and ingat lahat. Maraming salamat.